This video is going to be showing you a solo Grandmaster Nightfall on a Titan getting the Platinum rank, which this week's Nightfall is the Warden of Nothing. The strike loot is the Adept Uzume Legendary Sniper Rifle, which is solar and the best sniper rifle in the energy slot for PvE if you get the God roll. I haven't yet, but this is just going to show you how to get the Platinum solo on it on a Titan without the use of Anarchy. So we're going to be using a different type of weapon. The previous video to this we've done Malfeasance, the exotic hand cannon, on a Warlock. So I want you to do a Titan run. We've done the Hunter, we've done the other. So if you want those runs, you need to watch those. But if you want the Titan run, then this is obviously going to be the run for you. So in terms of our loadout itself, we're using the Officer Revolver with Overload hand cannon shot in it. Polaris Lance with Anti-Barrier Scout. And champions for the Unstoppable, we're using the Void Melee Unstoppable on our class piece, because you need 3 champion mods to stun all champions. This Nightfall is unique because it has all champions in it, whereas most don't. So you can only put 2 gun mods on your gauntlet, so you must spec for one on your class piece. I chose Void Melee because on Sentinel, which we're using top tree Sentinel, not middle, not bottom tree. Very important we're using top. It'll become clear why I'm using top tree. But essentially what we're going to do here is take out this Overload Minotaur from height and from distance. Because of a time payload, you don't lose the range. You have infinite range with the time payload, so you can take an Overload from pretty much any distance. As long as you keep hitting him with your hand cannon. This won't work with any regular old hand cannon. We're also using Sunder and Blast to assist with damage. Sunder and Blast is a real good mod. It's also got its downsides. It's a real good mod, but it's also a bad mod. But because we're playing everything from range, the negatives of this mod don't show up. The negatives are that when a champion is stunned, they unstun themselves even though they're stunned. When you're close to them, they'll push you. So Glassware, it's not going to really be beneficial to you, or any sort of Nightfall where Minotaurs are rushing you and you have nothing to combat that. But when you're playing from range, Sunder and Blast is really good. And if you're not using Breach and Clear, which Breach and Clear is a +9 on your class piece, so obviously if you're using that, you can't use Sunder and Blast. So you've got to make the decision. Also, I need Void Melee, which is a +2, so I ended up not using a Grey Launcher at all. Just a Royal Entry rocket launcher, the Polaris Lance for shields, and the hand cannon for overloads. This means every weapon is good at its job. Okay, Polaris Lance is exceptional, maybe one of the best weapons that we've ever saw for anti-barrier champions. You're going to see how good it is. Bear in mind, this is solo. Imagine 3 people with this. 3 people with Polaris Lance, you're going to wreck this Nightfall with that. So with this section here, we're going to try and focus the Hydra. Now we're using the exotic chestplate Heart of Inmost Light. Basically, this empowers your other abilities when you use one. So essentially, we can use our Barricade to get grey energy back. Now, if you time things correctly, you're getting a grenade, for me at least, for every 15 to 20 seconds, roughly. And I haven't got the highest discipline build on. Not that I really need it, because I've got a bit of resilience going on, I've got a bit of recovery going on. I've got more of a medium balance of stats rather than spike in one area. The only thing I would say is recovery. Always spec for as much as possible for recovery, no matter what you do in this game. PvE, PvP, no matter what, recovery always helps. Unless you've got togetherness on, or any mod that hinders health regen. But they're only in Masters, they're not in GMs. So we took out the Hydra, we got a cell, we shot that for additional damage to the champion over the other side of the map. What I'm doing is edging the champion's HP so that I can kill him in one phase. That means I'll go up to him, melee him with the Unstoppable, and then shoot my 2 rockets, a grenade, that'll kill him. It won't, however, if he's full HP, but that's fine because you actually keep your Void Melee. So you notice the bottom left hand corner? Next to the grenade ability, I still have my Void Melee. Do you see that? This Void Melee is very good for this. Now on bottom tree, the melee works different, I believe. I don't think you keep it on that one. And on middle tree, you definitely don't, because that's code of the commander, and that gives you detonators. Now the thing you need to make a decision here is, are you going to go for damage on the core of the commander, which will buff your super, it will buff your Thermite grenade quite a lot, not your Thermite, your Voidwall. It'll buff your grenade, it'll do a lot more things for you. You'll get more cell generation that way with Warmind's Decree, because I'm using a Warmind cell build on. But top tree is safer, because I can bubble, I can get weapons of light, I'm playing from range, and I have infinite, and I'll repeat it again, I have infinite void, melee, unstoppable. That is valuable to me, so I go with this. But you could go Code of the Commander, it's going to work still. But as I said, top tree is really good. So we're going to take out this champion with our Polaris Lance only. As you can see, I can literally just melt them. You can kill them with one mag. If you're good enough with your crits, you can kill them with one magazine. Because of the perk on Polaris Lance, it just keeps, it's like an OP triple tap, but it also has solar lingering damage, and it does a solar explosion on the target. So this weapon, when they buff scouts, will be maybe the best scout rifle in the game, because of how it works. Especially on tanky bosses, it'll beat any explosive payload scout because of what it can do with the reload and constant. Like I said, this is what Polaris Lance looks like now, which is amazing. Imagine with the buff, I don't know how much they're going to buff scouts by. I imagine they're going to make it substantial, because it gets people talking about Destiny when they buff stuff. So they're probably going to do it. They're probably going to make them OP, you know, just to get more to akin to a Destiny 1 feel. Because we've had scouts bad for, well, they're not bad, but they are kind of bad. They've been bad for a bit. So I think they're going to give them a good buff. I used a bubble there, that's so important I done that. It means that I get the weapons of light, 35% damage buff. It means I can kill a champion with one unstoppable, two rockets, one grenade. That will actually one phase a champion when I've got a bubble. Now if you don't kill him in one phase, get your barricades up to confuse the barrier. Now we've still got weapons of light up, so as you can see to the left hand side, so I wanted to utilise two rockets on the champ ahead of me for weapons of light, because you can see in front of me I've got a brick there. I've got bricks, I've got ammo heavy on the floor, so I wanted to sort of use that and optimise my bubble still, even though it's gone. Because even though when your bubble goes, you still have the weapons of light buff up for an extra 15 seconds, as long as you're refreshing it, just going in and out of the bubble. We're filling back up on our primary ammo, max Polaris Lance, max hand cannon, we want all that stuff, we want max heavy, because when we get ammo drops in this room, it all helps out. We can leave that ammo on the floor and use it for the mini boss, use it for champions, whatever we need to use it for. This room isn't so difficult, especially with this loadout. It is super easy. I can't tell you how easy this actually is with Polaris Lance. Because of the nature of the weapon, you sit back, has really no range drop off. Scouts do have a range sort of stat. People might not know this, but certain archetypes, for example, I know this because I've done a test on it maybe a year or two, probably 2 years ago, but things don't change. They haven't touched scouts since 2 years really, so they're sort of the same. So your rapid fire frames, like Randy's throwing knife, has a range drop off of like, it might be 30 meters, something like that. I can't remember. It's a video I made, as I said, nearly up to 2 years ago. But I do remember the rapid fire frames having less range. The high impact frames have the most range of any scout. Now Polaris Lance is a high impact frame, which benefits from the range. So you try and do it. Try and take a champion anti-barrier out of 50 meters with one type of scout, and then try it with this one, and you'll notice a massive difference between the two. You know, it all depends on what encounter design Bungie makes. For example, if we all remember King's Fall, that was all played from distance. The longer the range of your weapons, you know, your snipers, scouts, it really benefited from that. A lot of D1 environments were like that. The environments were kind of longer, whereas in D2 it was more based around hand cannons and SMGs, and there's a lot more tight-knit CQC environments. But we are getting longer range environments. For example, Shattered Thrones one, it's a vast place, so bows work out really well. scouts work out really well. Like in some of the encounters, I know some of it's CQC, but not all of it is. So you can see I'm taking the barriers out from back here. Why am I doing that? Because they can't shoot me back. Before I push the ads, I want to take out these 2 barriers. This removes risk. If both of the snipers shoot me, I'm dead. If one of them snipes me, I can tank that damage because I'm a tier 5 resilience guardian. I have solar resistance on that protects me against snipers, and I have concussive dampener on. The concussive dampener won't help out against a sniper, but the solar resist certainly will. So we can protect ourselves against one, but you can get unlucky and both of them could snipe you. But again, it comes down to your positioning. But if you took the barriers out where I did, if you do end up doing the Polaris Lance run like this, then it's so easy just to take the barriers out from this distance. Now we'll engage with the actual ads freely, no snipers up. Any cells we get, we shoot. That will take out a bunch of the ads. And then we can start working on some more of the ads. Now I'm doing this room to its sort of full potential. I want to get as many kills on the goblins as much as possible, because this room has additional spawns going on. Okay, so you'll get more spawns the more goblins you kill. When the mini boss spawns in, there's actually goblins linked to the HP of the mini boss. I know this because we used to do the score runs back in the day, and you used to have to know that knowledge. This is a flaw of Grandmasters, by the way, is no knowledge of spawns doesn't matter as much because you don't need points. I don't know why they don't go back to doing score stuff as well. I like the Grandmasters, everyone's on the Grandmaster train, everyone loves it, but let's get some scored Nightfalls going. I don't know, maybe offer another difficulty of Nightfalls that are more score based, and they really are, not just 100k, I'm talking 200k, 300k Nightfalls. Let's do some scored things, because those used to be really good. Problem is there was no rewards for it. One way to solve this would be a leaderboard, in-game leaderboards, or even if they just labelled it on their TWAB post to say, this week this team got the highest Nightfall point score of any other team. They used to do it in Prison of Elders, so there's no excuse. They could definitely do it now. They've got the stats, they've got the database to do all that. Okay? You can actually look that stuff up now on Shamalian, on Discord or what have you. You can actually just go on the site, but you can check all that stuff. You can look at where you rank and stuff, what your highest score was. So all that stuff's in there, you know. So they're missing out on opportunity. Hopefully when things, you know, start to go to the next generation of Destiny, that's where we need to come to. In-game leaderboards. Emblems aren't cutting it. We need in-game leaderboards for stuff. We don't have to go on Destiny Tracker to look at all this stuff. It should be in the game. Cause no, players don't care. They're not going to check your third-party websites. They want to see in-game what's going on. So I used a Weapons of Light bubble with Polaris Lance. I just spammed all my rockets because I knew I had 2 or 3 rockets on the floor at least. This rocket launcher benefits from field prep. Field prep gives you increased ammo reserves, and it does a scavenger, inbuilt scavenger to the weapon, right? Now that stacks with rocket launcher scavenger on your boots. So did you just notice I got 5 rockets for 1 brick? So it goes like this, I think. It goes, if I was just to use field prep, it would be 3 rockets. Then you put 1 rocket launcher scavenger on, it goes to 4 rockets per brick. Then if you put another one on, it's 5. So it's all stacking. See, so 5 rockets. You can't go wrong with that. This is one of the best legendary heavies in the game, because of you can get 5 rockets with 1 brick. And ammo finder brick, here's the interesting thing. With ammo finders, you usually only get 1 shot. With rocket launcher scav, you can boost the ammo finder brick to 3. So ammo finders are 3 and normal bricks 5. I'm never running out of ammo on this rocket, unless I'm in a position where I can't pick up the ammo. You can see I'm dropping. It's like heavyweight. I'm just getting ammo all the time. Makes it really easy. So always remember that field prep is one of the best perks in the game for solo, because solo depends on not so much ability usage, it does at times, but more weapon usage. What weapon are you using when you need to use it? How much ammo are you using? How much ammo do you know your weapon's capable of? Reserve wise, how much you get per brick? All that stuff, it's so important. But ability usage is important if you really need to use it to stay alive. Then yeah, it's important. But that's only a couple of times in this one. So we're going to try and bait out the unstoppables. There's 2 of them. My goal here is to do just to kill the 2 unstoppable. Then I'll use a super, which we're close to 80%. The super's not worthwhile using on a champ. We don't really need a bubble right now, so there's no use of my super. So all we're going to do is get a stop on the unstoppable. When you do this, you need to make sure that you are baiting a champion round the corner, because what the champion will do, he'll try to do his blast attack. You will interrupt the blast attack by doing either a finisher or an unstoppable melee. If an unstoppable is running at you in broad daylight and you try and melee him, he will actually one-shot you. He will come up and just melee you in the head and you're dead. So this is very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing with the Void melee unstoppable. Okay, it's not like a hand cannon where you're safe. You're totally not. You need to bait champions and know exactly what you're doing. I use certain doors or round the corners of an environment. Like for example right here, I'm using these crates, these boxes. I'm third person emoting, which is something you shouldn't be doing. Don't like doing it in trials. I do that, I can see the champion, do a void wall, 2 rockets. Because the Voidwall Grenade is empowered, it does extra damage because of Heart of Inmost Light. Voidwall Grenade is the best void nade to use. It does more damage than a magnetic. Sometimes magnetic grenades are very useful though, it just depends what you're doing. A suppressor grenade, very useful, but it just doesn't do the damage. It will help you out, it's kind of like blind nades, but you're not going to be spamming your nade so much like that. So you want a damage output grenade, and Voidwall does the job. It absolutely destroys champions, and they're Grandmaster level as well. So imagine 3 people with the Heart of Inmost Light. And we all know it's really good damage on Aphelion. It's seen more use because Aphion's a ability type battle, isn't it, at the boss. So with the mine section, this is probably the most difficult path for people, especially when you get to the capture A, B, C. Your plan has to go 90-95% right. There's little room for error with it. Your timing has to be on point. You need to melt champions in good time, which I'll commentary on that when we get to that section, I guess. But before all that, we need to clear out the champions that are up. So we've got 3 barriers, 1 Cabal, 1 Cabal, 2 Vex. We have an unstoppable champion and a Vex that's Overload. A lot of champions. And obviously we've got max heavy, but we're going to really save ammo as much as possible. This is the beauty of Polaris Lance, right? Where its ammo is infinite. As long as you're getting critical hits, it pulls the ammo from the air, not your reserves. Look at my ammo. It just keeps staying the same, staying the same. Eventually it'll go down a little bit because I might miss a crit or 2. But overall, this weapon is fantastic when there's a lot of barriers in an activity and you really need your heavy. So this is where having a rocket, because you... Not only that, you're using double primary, and people don't maybe know, but the double primary loadout also helps to assist heavy bricks to drop. If you run primary special heavy, you don't get as much heavy, unless the exception is if, say, you use a heavy sniper and a special sniper, or say a heavy grenade launcher and a special grenade launcher, because GL ammo finder will work for both weapon types, so that's fine, you get plenty of ammo. You'll find that when, say, you used Mountaintop Anarchy or Anarchy Salvo, you'll find you still get plenty of heavy, because GL ammo finder is working for both. It's giving you that heavy, it's also giving you special. But this also works when, you, as I said, you double primary, because you're not getting any green to drop on the floor, and that's a big deal. Obviously we have to go double primary anyways, because there's 3 champion types. So it's a must. We have to. There is probably ways you could do a stasis warlock run with no barrier. It would be nice to see, but it'd be very difficult. You probably want to run a sword if you were going to do that. If you're going to do the stasis lock setup, you would probably want to use Lament, because then you can melt the champions down while they're froze. But Lament's not going to have any utility to you when you get to the boss fight, like when you're fighting the boss. So that's where it sort of falls apart for that weapon. That's where these weapons work really well, because Polaris Lance has really good boss damage on champs, bosses. You have plenty of primary ammo to go around. It has infinite ammo when you get critical hits. The hand cannon is really good because it's got time payload. It can deal with overloads. It also generates cells, because we've got the cell build on. We've got the cell build Warmind's Decree, which generates cells on void damage. We have, which is going to work for Voidwall. It's going to work for my rocket as well. Royal Entry. And then we also have Global Reach to extend the reach of the cell. Wrath of Rasputin, Rage of the Warmind. That's our Warmind setup. And Warmind's Protection. So we get a resistance buff when an enemy's next to a cell. So you can see there the Overload and Unstoppable will fight each other. So you take advantage of that by killing the Overload constantly with your hand cannon. Just keep spamming your hand cannon at him. My hand cannon has drop mag, so it makes it easier for me. I empty my entire magazine and then just keep going. So drop mag makes it all the difference. If I had a slow reload, I may not get stuns on overloads as good as I should be. So try and get a reload perk on your 7 Seraph revolver. Ideally you want a time payload and then you want a good reload perk. That's all you want on it. If it's got range, yeah, sure, that's going to help as well. But it's not essential. Just reload, explosive payload, time payload, that's all you want. So now we're taking out the remaining champions, which is 2 barriers. You can see here, I can melt the champions from back here and the champions don't fight me. So it's great. It's a good angle. It also puts us in position for the capture point A, B, C. So this is how it works. A will spawn in. B and C won't. You have 60 seconds to capture A. But within the 60 seconds you need to melt 2 champions and a bunch of goblins. And it's quite tight. If you mess up at all, you miss a shield break, something happens, you're in danger of not killing all the champions when you need to be killing them. Okay? So using the Scorched Cannon is going to help you out for ad clear. And it can generate cells, which you'll see. So we'll take out the final barrier, it's fine. Pick up the Scorched Cannon. Then capture point A will spawn in. To stop the timer, we will stand on capture point A. So standing on the capture point actually stops the timer and extends it. Okay. There's adds to your left, the goblins. You need to prioritize those. Once those are killed, you need to sort of push up. We're going to do a barricade so that we get some grenade energy, because we need that. We'll use the cannon a bit. Get the champion one shot. Not one shot, but breakable for shield. Get a shield break, and then we'll need to do 2 rockets. We must do it. Now I would go in for the finisher. There's a reason why I didn't. That reason is simple. Because there's Vex pools on the floor. They will kill me. So I had to get an additional stun, which will take me longer, but that's fine. We go to capture point A. We stop the timer. See, it's on 25. Ideally what we need to do is aggro this Unstoppable. So there's a goblin still fighting the Unstoppable. It's aggroed him. That's fine. We're looking to our right. It's 15 seconds. So we've got just enough time to get a stop, 2 rockets, grenade, and run off. If that gets the champ finishable, great. If it doesn't, we're going to have to do another stop. That's fine. We still have our melee to do so. As you can see, I still have my melee charge, but it's finishable. So we've just multitasked there. We've finished that champion just as we captured A. Now the extra 60 seconds spawning for B and C. Capture B first. Do it in this order. Okay? You'll find it a lot easier if you do. So B first. Crouch behind the rock. Do a barricade because adds can spawn behind you. Then you want to go from there. Avoid all adds, all confrontation, or your only goal is to get to capture point C. and you must slay out. Use rockets. I know they're only goblins, but use rockets, generate cells, do what you can, because that plate needs to be cleared before you can get on there, unless you will die. If you get a cell, shoot it. Don't worry about later on. Getting past this bit is everything. Once you get past this bit, you're good. Now I do have a Roman Serber. I could bubble this plate. I'm just going to tell you one thing though. I did do a bubble on capture point C, and the Void Minotaur can one-shot you in a bubble with a melee. I don't know why that's happening. I think because there might be some sort of blackout secret modifier for this one. I don't know, but adds one shot with a melee. And that's funny to me because in the inside terminus they don't. And I think Empath was on. I can't remember, but I'm sure there was a melee buff. I think Empath was on for inside terminus. They don't rate one shot, but yet ads do one shot on melees. Yet there's no mod up on this Grandmaster to say that there's any buff to melee damage. I think there's a secret mod on there. It's weird. You just try it yourself. See if the Minotaur one shots. He does. Melee resistance would help against that, but you don't want to spec out for if scenario. That's only every now and then. You shouldn't be letting any ads come close enough to you to one shot you like that anyways. So the concussive still the way to go. Solar resistance still the way to go. This is obviously the ultra part, just killing the Cabal. I found out a really good place to take the Cabal where you can head glitch him and he can't hit you. Takes a bit of setting up, but if you sit around here, eventually the Cabal boss will loop his way around. It's beneficial to kill any of the ads because they may drop you heavy. So, you know, I'm already 26 minutes into the run. I don't care about spending an extra couple of minutes just to clear these ads. In the case of getting more heavy, because more heavy is a win-win always. We've got a cell here. I'm trying to rocket it, but this ad just gets in my way. That's fine. We'll get the cell. This is aggroed the Cabal boss, which he's gonna eventually do what I want him to. We just sort of need to get the angles on him. This is a nice angle, but he will move to the right. We want him to move all the way to the bridge, which he's gonna do so now. And this is just going to work perfectly with this scout, and this is going to showcase how good this scout is. So as you can see, he's using his wave cannon on that environment in front of him, and it just keeps hitting. It's not smart enough to sort of move over, so we take advantage of that. We can just keep hitting him for days with our Polaris lance. So you can see it just keeps reloading itself. I'm not consuming any ammo as long as I get my crits. I can use grenades, I can use rockets for additional damage. Depends on how many bricks you've got on the floor. If you've got no ammo but you've got some bricks, just focus the Polaris lance because you can see it melts him no matter what. So we just keep going with it. He's pretty weak. There'll be an additional ad spawn. A couple more orange bars can spawn for Cabal. Again, there's additional spawns this fighter build might not know about. But we don't need to utilise it for points because it's not a points run like they used to be. Now I'm wasting a rocket there. You're going to look at me and say why? Well, because I only had one in the chamber. There's plenty of bricks on the floor to get me my 9, which is max. So that's fine. So we waste one to get a reload, so we get clown cartridge going, and then we've got 9. This is so important, right? This is how you fix the bug. I've posted a video about this Nightfall being bugged. Wait for the Warden AI dialogue to finish now. Before you enter the building. Bring out your ghost, check the checkpoint marker. If there's a white checkpoint marker on the entrance, you can go. There'll be another door, wait. There'll be extra dialogue, wait again. Wait for a new objective on the left. Slowly make your way down. If you go fast at all, I tested this, and if you don't do these steps, the whole thing bugs out and you are not entitled to any Grandmaster loot. You will not get a triumph either. So you need to have a white checkpoint marker. You can see it above the chest. If you don't have that, you're in a bugged instance. And I'm sorry, but even when you go to the boss, you better kill him. No champions will spawn. You better kill him. You won't get any loot. So that is the answer. Be very slow, wait for dialogue to finish at all times. Like as soon as dialogue starts happening between Warden and Drifter, stop. Just listen to it. Then start the next one. Bring out your ghost, see, because your ghost, as we know when you're in patrol and stuff, highlights objective markers and checkpoint markers. For whatever reason, it assists. I've tried it 3 times and it works every time. So that's your fix to this Nightfall. It's bugged. It needs done, it needs sorted, like a lot of things in the game, but in the meantime, we just have to, you know, work with it and work around it. So here's the 4 champions. What I suggest is that you take the Overload Minotaur first. The Colossus will help you, assist you with the Overload Minotaur. The only danger that you have is occasionally the Overload Minotaur can go into cover when they fight. Right now, I was a little worried. But he's pushed. So because I had seen that, I was like, right, if you're in doubt and you have a chance to kill him, I just double rocket him, finish him off. My heavy's not that important, and I've got max. I've got plenty of shots. I've got a cell, we'll shoot that. That'll do some splash damage to the Unstoppable. There's 2 barriers down there. We're not going down there yet. This is basically us gonna do damage to the Unstoppable until he's killed, or until finishable. You can do it until finishable, then you could bait the Unstoppable to you behind cover and then finish him. There's a danger that you might get caught off guard though, so I just kill him from up here. One thing I could have done is use a bubble, get a Weapons of Light buff, and then start laying into the Unstoppable from here. That would have sped this up a little bit, because we don't really need super so much for this bit, for the boss fight. Always keep an eye on the Colossus to your right, because sometimes the Colossus can get your aggro and start shooting you from up here. But the Colossus is fairly stuck on the other barrier, so I'm not too worried. Unstoppable is half health. Every now and then you'll see me do a barricade. This gives me empowered for 10 seconds. This ensures I get my Voidwall Grenade every 15 to 20 seconds. The only problem is it's pretty difficult hitting the... This grenade's kind of weird because it bounces on the floor and stuff. It's not like a Vortex Grenade that's easy to use. The Voidwall, that's the only thing I'm not a fan of about it. Is if you're not hitting it on a big target, it's so easy to miss an ad. Because it's just a wall. It's not an area of effect grenade. But again, it is best in class to use. Better than what, you know, magnetic or suppressor would be. It's just a case of analysing what this Unstoppable's doing. So all he's doing is going to the right, retreating, and then he pushes the anti-barrier every now and then. That's your chance to do your damage, I guess. Make sure you've got plenty of barrier ammo, because you've still got 2 barriers to kill. Obviously, we can keep using our Polaris, as long as we're getting crits. We've got infinite ammo there for the champion, for the Unstoppable, so we're not wasting ammo here. Might look like it, but we're not, because we're getting our crits. Champion is literally 1 shot, so we're just waiting on that. As I said, I could have went down there and finished him, but when you're 30 minutes into a run, it's not worth, you know, if there's a chance of dying, it's not worth it. Just kill him from here. I've already spent a lot of time on it, so I may as well just finish it this way. So when we push down to the bottom, there's 2 barriers, of course. Take the Colossus first. The Colossus does an insane amount of damage to you, especially the closer you are, the more consistent the champion is at killing you. So the problem is there's not really any good places to take the champion so much. There's this location, but I was not keen on that. The barrier's literally standing in the worst possible place. So I've got a spot on the far right. The barrier's already weak, so we take advantage of that. We'll get a shield break. Make sure you're tight to the cover, because the Vex Goblin can hit you. We'll then get a shield break. With peak shooting this every now and then, that's the best way of dealing with it, just so he doesn't kill us. We also use 2 rockets. It's well worth doing it. It just speeds up this Colossus kill, which you really want to do. You don't want to mess about with the Colossus at any point. Now we'll be on with the last barrier. Now I had a little trouble here with my jumps. It's kind of embarrassing. Took ages to get up top. There's a couple of glitch places, or exploit places you can fight this boss from. So there's the sort of place to my left, top left, where he's standing in this sort of little cubby area. It's a little glitchy. I'm not a fan of it. Then there's the place behind me where you can jump up and down. You're standing on like an imaginary floor. You can do that. You always see the boss, but I feel as though it's a little more dangerous. And then there's the place to the top left, which I like to use. So the dilemma that we have here is we don't want to kill the barrier down here, because what that does is it spawns the boss in when we need to make a jump up here. Now I use my super for the resistance to try and get up. Failed my jump. This was the worst part of the whole run. It really spoiled it, because it was pretty clean up until this point. So I've wasted my super, so what I'm going to do is stun the champion, then jump up. The reason why I'm doing this, because it screwed me over on the Warlock run, where if you kill the barrier down here, then you jump up top. The champion is aggroed on your last position down here, which makes it a pain to do damage from this place that we're going to do it from. So rather than have the champion aggroed on any position, the only position you want him aggroed on is at the cheese place. For that to happen, you need to already be up there before the boss spawns in. So all I'm doing here is just I keep failing my jump, so I apologise for that. But the trick is just do a single jump onto this little railing, not to sort of double jump onto it. We get another stun, and then we failed our jump again. So annoying. Whatever you do though, obviously don't let the barrier kill you while you're trying to do this. I was so used to doing it on the Hunter Titan. I wasn't sort of used to doing this jump on the Hunter and the Warlock. I wasn't used to the Titan. Like I said, if you keep failing your jumps like this, then that's all you're doing. You're stunning the champ. That gives you that brief moment of time to get the jump, which you'll see me execute. I think I get it this time. Okay, there we go. So up here. So there's different locations you can stand up here, but you get join allies. So I've explained this one a couple of times already on the Warlock run and the Hunter, how this exploit works. So I've already spoke at length about it, but essentially just make sure that if you do get join allies, you stand where there isn't a join allies phase, so that you don't get transported down below. If you get transported down below, it's over. You're not going to be able to survive on a Titan like this. On a Hunter, yeah, you can. Dodge invis. The Titan, no, you're not going to survive down there with everything that's going on, especially the boss. The boss can push you now. He never used to be able to, like round pillars and stuff. So we're going to take Polaris Lance on the champion to finish him off. So then the boss will therefore spawn in. He'll aggro on us as long as we start shooting on the ground. He'll aggro on us. These are the join allies, look. Careful of that. And then it's just a case of doing damage from up here. Don't be frightened to use rockets, because you're going to get more ammo back. When you run out of ammo, the game will give you more ammo. That includes heavy, any primary, or if you're using the special, then it would do that as well. So it's a case of just use your nades, use your barricades for your empower buff, because we're using Heart of Inmost Light. Polaris Lance does really good damage on the boss, especially if the boss is sort of in a phase of just looking at you, which that sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't. But for every phase the boss will do his solar attack. for every ad phase, and then at the very end he just goes crazy and keeps doing the solo attack over and over. That's the most annoying part, because when he does that, sometimes you can't DPS the boss from everywhere. This is where this chase place has its benefits of being able to survive pretty much anything, but has its drawback at being slower, and that you have to be a bit more patient in what you're doing. Whereas the other one round the corner, where you can stand on a platform that's, you know, nothing there, you can see the boss pretty much at all times. But you can get naded by Cabal nades. There's a bit more threat to you dying. We'll utilise the Heart of Inmost Light buffs when we can. Just be careful not to shoot your rocket while you've barricaded behind you or something, because obviously that would be a disaster if you've done that. That's only one danger I would see from doing this, because I'm spamming my barricade quite a lot, so it's easy to forget you've got a barricade right behind you, and if you're strafing in and out of the barricade, it's so easy just to rocket yourself. But other than that, I won't provide commentary for the rest of it, as it's pretty straightforward from now on. I'm just doing DPS from here. Obviously it's an exploit. Don't leave too many ads alive, especially snipers, minotaurs. They can do a lot of damage to you. When the boss isn't aggroed on you, start shooting ads. They may drop heavy, which will help you with the ammo mercy mechanic anyways. So when you run out of ammo, you get all those bricks back. But this is the Titan run anyways with Polaris Lance. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
minute